shout out tonight for someone who is not a journalist, but has helped set a tone of erudite resistance in an era when attacks on journalists have come from many directions, but none more ugly than from the White House. This is someone who works at what the president calls the failing New York Times.
My name is David McCraw. I am the Deputy General Counsel at the New York Times Company, and my primary responsibility is anything that comes out of the newsroom that presents a legal problem.
David McCraw has never won a Pulitzer Prize or even had a New York Times byline, but I told him that in newsrooms around the country, he is seen as a hero in an era of journalism under attack.
I'm not sure I'm going to buy into the hero label, but certainly I've had a platform to stand up for journalism, and I'm proud to do that.
It has put him head-to-head with Donald Trump.
The New York Times is totally dishonest, totally dishonest.
I think the main thing that concerns me has been the attempt by the president and others to delegitimize the press. It really is an invitation to distrust, to not believe.
You are fake news.
You are the enemy of the people. You look at the networks, you look at the news, you look at the newscasts. I call it fake news.
I draw a line between that and criticism of the press. The press should be criticized. Any institution should. But this idea of just to dismiss it as fake news, enemy of the people, I think has been deadly.
Do you think Donald Trump believes that?
I think he knows that it plays well to a political base. I don't know whether he really thinks that is a true fact.
And the New York Times is failing. If I weren't here, I believe the New York Times probably wouldn't even exist.
When he continues to refer to the Times as the failing New York Times, what's the reaction inside this building?
It's a little amusing because, as you know, he also talks about how he saved the New York Times because subscriptions went through the roof when he was elected, and that's really closer to the truth.
In his new book, Truth in Our Times, McCraw recalls perhaps his finest hour as he came to the defense of a New York Times report about two women who claimed Trump had physically groped them.
He was like an octopus. It was like he had 6 arms. He was all over the place.
Trump, then a candidate, angrily denied the allegation.
Now we address the slander and libels that was just last night thrown at me by the Clinton machine and the New York Times and other media outlets as part of a concerted, coordinated, and vicious attack.
And overnight, Trump's lawyer demanded the Times retract its story and issue an apology, saying, quote, failure to do so will leave my client with no option but to pursue all available actions and remedies.
I felt that we needed to have a strong response.
The response was this letter from McCraw. No retraction. Essentially, see you in court.
We did what the law allows. We published newsworthy information about a subject of deep public concern. If Mr. Trump disagrees, if he believes that American citizens had no right to hear what these women had to say, and the law of this country forces us and those who would dare to criticize him to stand silent or be punished, we welcome the opportunity to have a court set him straight.
The letter went viral.
In the end, I think the people at the Times were very happy that I'd done it this way, and I'm fortunate to work in a company that was going to stand behind me for a response this strong.
So our shout out tonight for David McCraw, defender of the First Amendment. That's our program for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next week. Good night.